Is the court case of Plessy v. Ferguson, which happened in 1896. So some background on this is, in 1890, Louisiana passed the Separate Car Act, which states that all railroads must provide equal but separate accommodations for black and white passengers. So, in an attempt to try to fix this, Homer Plessy, a man who was 7/8 white and 1/8 African American, purchased a train ticket and sat in the white cart. He was told to move to the African cart repeatedly, and he resisted, which ended up causing his arrest for violating the Separate Car Act. The argument of the petitioner, who is Plessy, he argued that the Separate Car Act was a violation of the 13th and 14th Amendment, which prohibit slavery and grant full and equal rights to all.
The defendant in the case was John H. Ferguson. Ferguson was the judge who presided over Plessy's case in Louisiana. Initially, Ferguson dismissed a similar case because it dealt with travel between different states, which was under federal jurisdiction. However, in Plessy's case, which only involved travel in Louisiana, he sided with the state's Separate Car Act, which segregated railroad cars by race. He argued that Louisiana had the right to regulate railroad companies as long as they ran within state boundaries because it was a reasonable use of their police powers. Ferguson also stated in regards to Plessy that there is no pretense that he was not provided with equal accommodations with the white passengers. He was simply deprived of the liberty of doing as he pleased. Plessy filed a petition against Ferguson at the Louisiana Supreme Court, who sided with Ferguson. Plessy appealed again, this time to the Supreme Court of the United States. In the Supreme Court ruling, the court upheld the constitutionality of the racial segregation under the separate but equal doctrine. The main thing the court focused on was whether the Separate Car Act violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The judges interpreted this clause as not prohibiting racial segregation, as long as the separate facilities provided for black and white individuals were equal. The court concluded the Equal Protection Clause were intended to ensure equality, but did not require social integration. The court also argued that laws requiring segregation could be reasonable exercises of police state power. In Plessy's case, they claimed that Louisiana preferred remaining segregated to avoid conflict. Additionally, they ruled out Plessy's argument that the Separate Car Act was unconstitutional underneath the 13th Amendment because the case had nothing to do with abolishing slavery.
The Chief Justice was Melville Fuller. The vote count was 7-1 in favor of Ferguson. Now, the impact of this court case is that it enshrined the doctrine of the separate but equal as a constitutional justification for segregation, and it legalized racial segregation in the United States for nearly 50 years. It also solidified the one-drop rule, as 1 drop of African American blood made a person considered African American, and became the legal precedent for over 60 years, guiding decisions in similar cases of segregation.